Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely pumped to guide you through this material because we are tackling something literally all of us can relate to, the infamous rat race. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You're working incredibly hard, you finally get that promotion or that pay raise, and yet, somehow you still feel like you're just treading water financially. It's so frustrating. Most people think that simply earning more money is the magic bullet, the ultimate fix for all their financial problems. But, as we'll see from the sources we're unpacking today, more money often just means running on a bigger, faster rat wheel. Because here's the secret. It's not actually about how much you make, it's about how that money flows. Which brings us to the central question of our entire explainer. What story do your numbers tell? Now don't worry, financial literacy isn't about doing complex calculus in your head. It's just the basic ability to read the facts of your own life down on paper. If you don't know your numbers, you really don't know your business. And when it comes to personal finance, well, you are your own most important business.
Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. First, we'll look at the rat race trap, then the 3 types of income. After that, we'll cover your financial statement basics, go through a step-by-step cash flow analysis, and finally bring it all together with the cash flow pattern.
Starting with Section 1, the rat race trap, and the illusion of earning more money. Our sources point out a pretty tragic paradox here. As people earn more, they usually just borrow more to buy bigger toys, the fancier car, the bigger house, so they're actually increasing their debt instead of acquiring true assets.
Moving on to Section 2, the 3 types of income, and changing your financial focus. If you want to escape that rat race, the source gives us investment basic rule number 1. You must always know exactly what kind of income you are working for.
Let's contrast these types directly. On one side, we have earned income. This is the traditional mindset, what the source calls the poor dad mentality. It's money derived from physical labor or a job. You trade your time for a paycheck, and the tax man takes the biggest bite. Crucially, because it is the highest taxed income, it's actually the hardest type of income to build wealth with. On the other side, we have the rich dad focus, portfolio and passive income. Portfolio income comes from paper assets like stocks and bonds. Passive income comes from things like real estate. These fall under entirely different, much more favorable tax structures. And most importantly, this is where your money works for you, instead of you working for your money.
So really grasping this definition of passive income is absolutely critical. It's income, often from real estate or royalties from patents and books, that comes in regardless of whether you physically roll out of bed and work or not. This leads us straight to the golden rule of our explainer today. The primary objective of a true investor is to convert earned income into passive or portfolio income as efficiently as possible. That conversion process, that's the real secret to wealth.
Section 3, your financial statement basics. This is where we map the playing field. To build that passive income, the source argues we've got to understand the mechanics of our personal household exactly as if it were a business. Think of it this way. Cash flow is to a business what blood is to the human body.
I just love this quote from the source. Financial literacy allows you to read the numbers, and the numbers tell you the story of the business based on facts. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Learning to read financial statements and doing the technical steps we're about to cover sounds kind of daunting, but rest assured, they were entirely learnable. The source makes a brilliant comparison here. It's exactly like learning to ride a bike or drive a car. At first, you're overthinking every single movement, but with a little practice, it becomes completely automatic.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how brutally simple these definitions are. Seriously, forget the giant, boring accounting textbooks. Income is simply money flowing in. Expenses are money flowing out. Easy? But look at those bottom 2 rows. This is where so many people get it completely wrong. An asset is simply something that puts money into your pocket, like rental real estate or dividend stocks. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket, like credit card debt or, and brace yourself for this one, the mortgage on your personal residence. Because at the end of the day, it's constantly draining cash from your pocket every single month.
All right, on to Section 4, step-by-step cash flow analysis. This is our core action plan, based squarely on the habits of sophisticated investors.
Let's walk through these 4 vital steps together. Step 1 is identifying your operating income, knowing exactly what money is coming in from operations versus financing. Step 2 is super fascinating. Track actual versus phantom cash flow. Phantom cash flow refers to things like depreciation. You see, accounting and tax rules allow you to depreciate property, which legally lowers your tax burden. So you're actually keeping more money. It's a completely legal way the wealthy pay less in taxes. Step 3 is categorizing good versus bad debt. And step 4 is calculating your cash-on-cash return, which we'll look at right now.
As part of that analysis, sophisticated fundamental investors, think folks like Warren Buffett, train their brains to automatically filter opportunities using standard ratios like these. The debt-to-equity ratio shows how heavily a property or business relies on outside financing versus insider equity. The current ratio tests your ability to pay off immediate liabilities. But that bottom one, that's the absolute favorite of the real estate investor, cash-on-cash return. You simply divide your positive net cash flow by your down payment. So if you put $100,000 down on an apartment building and it nets you $24,000 a year in cash flow, boom, that's a 24% cash-on-cash return. And this brilliantly illustrates step 3, categorizing your debt. Look, most of us are taught from day one that all debt is evil. But debt isn't inherently evil if it's tied to an asset that pays you. Good debt is borrowing money to buy an asset that generates more cash than the debt actually costs. The source gives a great example of an investor who pays $5,500 a month for a mortgage on an apartment building, but they collect $8,000 in rent. After expenses, they net $1,500 a month in positive cash flow. That mortgage is the definition of good debt. Bad debt, on the other hand, is swiping your credit card to buy liabilities, like big screen TVs or a fancy vacation, that simply bleed money out of your pocket.
Section 5. The cash flow pattern. This is where we visually follow the money to see the ultimate difference between the middle class and the wealthy.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a massive aha moment. By following the physical flow of cash, we can see the ultimate difference in strategies. Look at the left diagram first. This is the typical cash flow pattern of the middle class. Notice the path? They get a job, the income flows in, but it immediately shoots right down into the liability column, paying for bigger mortgages, nicer cars, credit cards, and then it flows straight out through the expense box. The money just leaves them. Now, look at the diagram on the right. This is the cash flow pattern of the rich. It's an entirely different circuit. The rich focus on that bottom left box, assets. Their assets generate income that flows up into their income box. Their businesses and investments pay for their expenses. It's like a perpetual motion machine for wealth.
This visualizes the course thesis one last time perfectly. The rich don't work hard for money. They have their money work hard for them. The source material points out that having a job is really an industrial age idea. In today's information age, you have to shift your mentality. Stop simply working just to acquire money to buy liabilities. You must focus your time, your energy, and your capital on creating and acquiring true assets that will continuously pump cash flow back into your life, regardless of whether you punch a clock today.
So I want to leave you with one final provocative question based on everything we've unpacked today. Take a really hard look at your own financial statements, your own income, and your own expenses. Ask yourself, who works harder, you or your money? If you're the one doing all the heavy lifting, it might be time to rethink your strategy, apply this cash flow analysis, and finally escape the rat race once and for all.